74-mile-per-hour wind gusts reach central Indiana. A soggy weekend, but warmer temperatures and brighter skies are in store here at the Weather Farm. Good evening. Welcome to another Friday night here at the Weather Farm. I'm your meteorologist, Christopher Hale, with your weather forecast for Hendricks County and surrounding areas. Here at the Weather Farm, we have a current temperature of 67 degrees. Winds are out of the east-northeast, about 6 miles per hour, gusting to 15. We did have a wind gust here at the Weather Farm of 74 miles per hour, just around 7:23 p.m. Eastern Time this evening. We have received 1.33 inches of rain so far today, and it is currently raining outside with the remnants of what was once a Category 4 Hurricane Helene. They've now moved here into central Indiana, and we are feeling the effects with the wind and the heavy rain, and that will last through most of this upcoming weekend. A lot of area high school football games were postponed tonight due to the wind and the rain. They'll be replayed tomorrow, but the wind may lessen, but the rain will still be there. So let's take a look as we look further into what's going on around our area. At this time, if we look around the area, temperatures are generally in the mid-60s. That's pretty close to the dew point at this area, given the tropical nature and origins of this air mass. We see 66 up in Crawfordsville, 66 down in Roachdale, 67 down in Danville. Temperatures aren't really going to drop much overnight due to that thick cloud cover and the humid air mass that's in place here across central Indiana. We expect low temperatures around 60 to 62 degrees. So if we take a look at our drought monitor earlier this week, we do see extreme drought here in southeastern Indiana. Most of the state is in some form of drought. Here across west central Indiana into Hendricks County, we are in a dry period. But today we've seen beneficial rains. Here across most of the area, we've received anywhere from 2/3 to almost 2 inches of rain. Here at the Weather Farm, as of last hour, we were up to 1.3 inches. That has now increased to 1.34 inches. Out in Montgomery County, Ladoga, you've seen about 3/4 of an inch. Crawfordsville, you're closing in on an inch. Darlington, you're closing in on 2/3 of an inch. Lebanon, you're also at 0.97 inches of precipitation. We take a look at the radars around the area right now. We see that center of circulation with what's once Hurricane Helene is kind of pinwheeling across Kentucky. The rain is moving from east to west. That will be the case for most of this evening in that cyclonic rotation. We take a look at our future radar. We see this dry period overnight, but then into tomorrow morning, into tomorrow afternoon, the rain fills back in as this low continues to spin across most of Kentucky. This will provide another 1/2 inch to 2/3 of an inch of rain across most of our area. Taking a look at the weather hazards, we were under a high wind warning here across most of central Indiana. As those higher winds have moved to the west, so have those high wind warnings. Down to our south and across most of Kentucky, we do see flash flood watches in place. Even this lighter tan area, that's an area of just a wind advisory. Most of these will last until 11 p.m. Eastern Time or 1 a.m. Eastern Time, and then they'll be allowed to expire overnight, as the most intense winds will have subsided by then. Well, we talked about Hurricane Helene and how it moved from the Gulf and made its landfall as a Category 4 last night. It's moved 1,000 miles further north into our area, into central Indiana. What else is going on in the tropics? So let's take a look at the tropics. We see what was Hurricane Helene. We also in the North Atlantic, we have Isaac, we have Tropical Storm Joyce, and we have a couple of areas that we're watching over the next 48 hours. One of them is expected to develop and follow where Joyce is at, but we have another area that we're going to watch again about mid to late next week there in the Gulf for potential development as well. So we see the map, we see the convective, the infrared satellite imagery, but here's that image that I want to talk about. middle of next week, we have a low pressure that's going to develop in about the same area that Helene developed between the Yucatan and Cuba, and it's going to be in a very favorable environment. You see here very low wind shear, nothing that's really going to knock the cloud tops off of that system as it tries to develop. And we see that sea temperatures are also fairly warm across most of the Gulf. Getting back a little bit closer to home, we see that our radar here locally, again, as I mentioned, the storms and the rain, they're beginning to pinwheel out of Indiana, again, moving from east into west. We see that low crossing the Ohio River into southern Indiana, sitting at 987 millibars. Our current millibar reading here at the weather farm sits about 993.8 at the top of the hour. So taking a look at temperatures over the next few days, as I mentioned, low temperatures tonight are generally going to be around 60 to 62 degrees over most of our area. And then when we look towards tomorrow, our high temperatures, again, due to that cloud cover, 70 degrees. Remember from the future radar, the heavier, steadier rain will be further south. We expect cooler temperatures there. Again, the thick cloud cover is going to not let temperatures fall too much tomorrow night. Again, that 60 to 62 degree range. Sunday, the rain is a little bit less widespread. Temperatures are probably going to bump up to about 72, 73 degrees. And then even looking into the early parts of next week, we see temperatures continuing that upward momentum. Temperatures on Monday in the mid to upper 70s across most of central Indiana. Lafayette, you're going to be at 74 for Monday. And looking at our 8 to 14 day outlook, looking into that second week of October, near normal temperatures and near normal precipitation is expected for the area. Normal temperatures for that second week of October start to dip down to about 70 degrees for afternoon highs. Lows are beginning to creep down into the low 50s and upper 40s across most of our area. Precipitation for that week is about 0.9 of an inch. So let's take a look at our forecast. As I mentioned, Saturday and Sunday going to be the rainier of the 2 days. Temperatures in the low 70s. We begin a warming trend, and then Wednesday we have a cold front that kind of moves in, a trough. It's going to bring some cooler area, but look at those nighttime lows in the mid 40s. Thank you for joining us here at the Weather Farm. We hope to see you soon.